Okay, so this is my first recording that I've ever done, and my first voiceover, so have mercy on me. That's my Jane Davenport watercolor palette. That's the neutral one. I have a few of hers. I like them a lot. For Bible journaling, that's my water. I have about 3 paintbrushes that I use religiously for all of my Bible journaling. Some wide ones like this one, and a couple of others. Now, with watercolor, what's awesome is when you wet the page, the watercolor won't travel beyond the border that you've created. However, in this instance, you could see as I wiped down that center border that I put too much water and I let it get into the center. And so you'll see later on how that affects it. It doesn't give me a nice crisp, clean edge down the center, but you can see how it follows along the border that I've created along the rest of the page. So right now I'm just adding colors that I like. Orange, yellow. I like doing the yellows more towards the center. The darker colors like brown towards the edges gives it the age look. I let it kind of do its own thing. I let the watercolor be its natural self, and it's really quite pretty. That's a nice dark brown. You can see I actually put too much brown in the corner. I don't want to cover the words, and you'll see that you can go back in a little while and literally just wipe that away as long as it's still wet. Honestly, if you have a good watercolor, you can, even if it's dry, re-wet it and then remove the color. But I don't think the Jane Davenport watercolors are that level of, of watercolor. Alright, so here I go. I am just adding some more colors. At some point, I'm going to just start drying this with my blow dryer, because my actual dryer, my actual heat gun broke, so I just use a blow dryer. And at this point, before I blow dry it, now I go in with black with the smaller brush, and I make a thinner line. It really kind of emphasizes the border, and I do it really thin, and I really want it. I want to get it into the water so it kind of blends a little bit, but it still is that kind of hard edge that makes it look nice and aged. You could see that as I work on that inner edge, I don't get the same amount of contrast because of what I did in the beginning with working with too much water over there. Okay, so here I'm blow drying it and getting it dry so that I could put another, voila, editing 101. So this is where I start adding a second coat, because what happens is if you keep adding it while it's wet, it just becomes like mush. So I always like to add a little extra second coat and add a little more contrast, some more oranges and things like that. My favorite thing to add is gold. You'll see me do, oh, you know what, I might have actually edited that right out of the video, so I'm sorry about that. That's in another palette, not in the neutral palette, but it is still a Jane Davenport palette. See, and as you're painting, if there's something that's too dark for you, you just wipe it away. Kind of leave a residual. Oh, there's my gold. Those are my shimmery ones. I add them as my little special zing. I really love the way that feels. I feel like the Word of God is so important to me that I want to give it sparkle, okay? And now I'm going to dry this again. I really like this. I think I'm finished with the basic page. I really like, I just love adding color. Now, here I am. I dry flowers in my Bible, and this is the first time I've done this. I thought, you know what? Every time I open my Bible, this flower, and a couple others, sometimes they fall out. And I really just wanted to add it permanently to that page because that's the page it dried on. So I thought maybe I could use the matte gel and do it. I hadn't done it before. It actually winds up working really, really well. The thing that you want to make sure of, though, when you are adding something... Oh, by the way, this is my Tim Holtz letters. I'm going to use those on my stamp, the Tim Holtz letters. So while I'm getting that, I'm setting up the word U with those letters, and then I'm going to use small little wood blocks, like little wood stamps, little teeny tiny letters for sustain, and then I'm going to handwrite the word me. You sustain me, because I'm in Psalm 3, and essentially it's just how God sustains us and how He's the one that that keeps us going, essentially. Our trust should only be in Him and really nothing else. So you see me do that once. I hadn't loaded it up enough, so I load it up again. I just kind of make it a little darker. There you go. Now I had to think about all this ahead of time, because when you're using matte gel, oh, there's my wood stamps, the teeny tiny ones. I got those at Michael's. And I don't even really think too much about where I'm putting it. I kind of like the imperfect nature of using one letter at a time, you know, kind of an improvised kind of way. But you have to kind of think about all this, do all this before you put the matte gel on the page. Because when you're going to add something like this, like the dried flower to the page, what you're really going to do is you're going to add the matte gel to the entire page. Otherwise, the page itself will not look even. You really have to cover the whole page. And then put the flower down, and then cover the flower itself in matte gel, which you will see happen. Now I'm about to handwrite the word me. When I handwrite, I'm sorry, my hand is really covering what I'm doing. I did it once. I kind of left a little room so I could go back and do a double or triple take on the downstrokes. If you don't know how to do hand lettering with the special pens, you could use any pen and just double or triple your downstrokes. That's what really makes them look kind of special. And I also kind of like the look of many strokes on one letter. That's another thing I got from Jane Davenport. She kind of like goes over her letters over and over again. That she inspired me a couple of years ago, and that's something that stayed with me, and I really like it. I'm always kind of writing my words again and again, as if they, I don't know, as if they mean more when I do it. So now you're going to see me go back and go over my downstrokes. Lord, you are the shield about me, my glory, and the lifter of my head. And the next couple of verses talk about how He sustains us. This is the psalm that David wrote when his son Absalom was hunting for him, and he was running for his life. David would always seem to be in trouble like that, wasn't he? Okay, so, and then I underlined the scriptures that really spoke to me. And now what I'm going to do is, yeah, there's my pen. I took the flower off. I'm going to cover the page in matte gel. Yeah, I just showed you. It's my Liquitex matte gel. I want you to know, Beverly, that I learned how to use a video editing app just for this video for you, sister. So I covered the whole page in matte gel, and now I'm going to put the flower down. I was missing a petal, so I had to put that down first and then put the rest of it down. It's a little high. I probably would have done it a little bit lower, but at that point I wasn't going to mess with it. I'm just being really careful not to pull any of the petals out, and I'm really pleased with how it's working. That's the hardest part right there, the center, because it's still kind of like chunky, but it's working. I also, yeah, I blow dried that, and I edited all that time out. I took a 23-minute video and made it like a 10-minute video, but that's essentially what it looks like when it's done. That is a matte gel. That's my other flower, and that is finished.